Hi, my name is Melissa Giles, and this is Proverbs Chapter 2. My son, if you receive my words and treasure up my commandments with you, making your ear attentive to wisdom and inclining your heart to understanding. Yes, if you call out for insight and raise your voice for understanding. That's 1, 2, and 3 of Proverbs 2. It's really important. I know for me it was really extremely important to, as I was learning these through a period of time, and it was like a long time. I've been on this journey for almost 7 years, spiritual journey. Well, actually, my first leap of faith was almost 7 years ago. The spiritual journey, the true spiritual journey, has been since 2013. Well, I guess. Okay, so it doesn't really matter. It just takes time, okay? It takes a lot of time. So it has been 6 years. Hold on. It has been six years, 10 months, and 6 days. Okay, so I'm approaching 7 years, right? Very quickly. So, during the 7 years in reading these Proverbs over and over and over again, how do I say? I didn't know what the 10 Commandments were until last year. I had no idea what they were. Like I mentioned in a video before, I only know what God has taught me over the years, and I only know what He's taught me, period. So at the beginning of everything, I would read my Bible every morning, and then read another book and then reflect it back to another book, and then it would come back to the Bible. And He got me into a way of, if I was ever in distress of any kind of question, if I was ever in distress or stressed or had a question or didn't understand something or whatever, then He got me into the habit of going and grabbing a book. The first book that I started reading back then was called Fixing My Eyes on Jesus. And I would go to that book and I would flip through it, and then not flip through it. The first page that I would come to, I would read it, and I would come to the Bible. I would read the verse, and then it would teach me. About 6 years into the journey, I got into some trouble. I got a DUI and had to spend 6 months in jail. It was my very first DUI, and that's a whole other thing. And I feel bad about saying that, but it's true. I did. I got a DUI, and I had to go do 6 months in jail because I didn't do probation. So when I went back to jail, or when I went to jail for the 6 months, that was when He took me to the commandments, the 10 commandments. And before that, I didn't know what the 10 commandments were. So with that being said, when He's talking about, my son, if you receive my words and treasure up my commandments with you, making your ear attentive to wisdom and inclining your heart to understanding, it's about knowing what they are. And for each one of these Proverbs, it can go back obviously to the 10 commandments, but that's what He's talking about. In your journey, with your personal journey, I don't know where He's taking you or how He's teaching you about that, but He will teach you that. So treasure up my commandments with you, making your ear attentive to wisdom and inclining your heart to understanding. Yes, if you call out for insight and raise your voice for understanding, if you seek it like silver and search for it as your hidden treasures, then you will understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of God. And his way of thinking is very unique, as you probably know. how do I say, the more you start listening to him, and the more you start thinking like him, then he gives you insight about how your day is going to go. And so I know that for myself, if I win, I would read a chapter, whatever day it was, like today is September 6th, obviously, and then chapter 6 would be the day that you read. And we could talk about that later, but if I read it first thing in the morning, then I knew what was going to happen during the day. And then if I know what's going to happen during the day, then I know how I would react to a situation, and then I have in my mind the Proverbs, so therefore I know how I'm supposed to act, because it would obviously happen, right? And I would relate it to a proverb that I read that morning, and so that insight would be great. It would be awesome, because because I was trying to be a better person, and I wanted to be a better person, and I want better things. And so with that, and changing my way of thinking, or him changing my way of thinking, I would say, okay, this is how I would have reacted, but this is how I am going to react, because this is who I'm going to be, if that makes any sense. And again, you guys, it takes time for sure to even just to surrender to that idea, or not really surrender. Well, yeah, kind of surrender, because our worldly thinking is a lot different than spiritual thinking, and it's so much easier to go to that worldly thinking because that's the energy that's put out there, right? And so it's hard. It can be hard at the beginning. It's very, very, very hard, because you want to go back to that old way of thinking, or stay in that old thinking pattern, because that old thinking pattern is a habit. You know, it truly, it's a habit, and it's what we're taught. And so you have to rewire your brain. Literally, you have to rewire your brain, and with the help of God and these words and this particular book will help you do that for sure. And then once you do it enough, then you just start acting that way, or being that person. You know, it's being who you are trying to be, because again, most of us, or all of us, or anybody who's seeking God wants to be that person. They're sick and tired of being the person that they are. They're sick and tired. I know for me, it's like it just got to a point where I'm so sick and tired of messing things up over and over and over and over and over and over again. You know, I'm tired of acting this way, where I would feel like a complete idiot about something I did the night before, or how I acted or treated somebody, or it just got tiring. It's just like embarrassing to act that way, or be that way. And so it comes a point in time where you're just like, damn, There comes a point in time where you're like, dang, that's a wrap. I'm done. I don't want to be this person anymore. So with that being said, when you start treating those insights and that understanding of God and really listening to him, is then you will understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of God. For the Lord gives wisdom, from his mouth came knowledge and understanding. So for me, like during the day when something would happen, he would tell me, well, say this to somebody, and I'd be like, no, I'm not going to say that. Like, that's not the right thing to say, as to where before I would be like, bleep, 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 F you, or, like, I don't care what you're doing, or, I don't know. Like, I can't even go back to that old way of thinking to give you an example. But the best example would be F you. That would be the best example. Or react in this way, like be yelling and screaming at somebody that I felt that they did me wrong, or go blame somebody. And eventually I was like, no way, I'm not going to do that. That's not, it would just come to my mind. And that's God. You guys, he is the controller of all things. Everything comes from God, which goes back to the story of what happened to me yesterday. And part of me wants to tell you, and the other part of me doesn't want to tell you. But however, it's just a personal relationship that you eventually end up with, you get with God. So For then you will understand the fear of the Lord and find the knowledge of God. And the knowledge of God is understanding and wisdom. You know, changing your way of thinking to be like His, and he does that. He does that for you. Okay, so moving forward, He stores up sound wisdom for the upright. He is a shield to those who walk in integrity, guarding the path of justice and watching over the way of the saints. And you know, yes, I don't know if it was yesterday, maybe it was the day before yesterday. I was sitting and I was thinking, this is what I'm going to do. You know, I think that a lot of us will have like, I don't want to speak for anybody, and I don't want to make this video just about, or these videos just about me and my experiences, but yet it kind of has to be that way. You know, I just feel like it needs to be, I guess I'm not there yet to be making it about somebody else, or how I can say to you watching this video, how I can say to you, well, you're doing this or you're doing that, because I can't and I don't want to. And so I can only speak from my experience when it's coming down to these 31 videos that I'm making right here and right now. So what was I going to say? The other day I was sitting here and I have like a full plan of everything that I'm going to do. I'm going to market here. I'm going to make this video. I'm going to, you know, do these simple things, really, these simple things just to get something done. And so like I'm writing it down, and it's getting time to this video, or this webinar that I was on was closing to an end, and I hear, are you a woman of integrity? Because I'm writing these things down. And I'm thinking to myself, yes, I'm a woman of integrity, because I do what I say that I'm going to do. But in the end, however, in the end, it didn't happen to be that way, right? It was like, I'm tired. I came up with all of these excuses, and what did I do? I went to bed, okay? So, was I a woman of integrity that day? No. And God was like, he was like, you know, this is what I told you to do. Even goes like back when I was even thinking about this. I don't know if I can turn to it right now, because it was a Psalm something. What did he say? What did he say? What did he say? What did he say? Okay, I don't even know. I'm not going to look for it right this second unless I can find it. Oh, yeah. He says, commit your way to the Lord, trust in Him, and He will act, you know, because I sit and I'm like, I want this and I want that, and my heart is crying for this and my heart is crying for that. However, I can make a whole list of things to do, and then I become that procrastinator, you know, and then the book of Moses comes into my mind. So it's another behavior that I have to change, right? And so for those who can live by this proverb, which I'm not saying that I don't always live by, or that I do always live by this proverb, because I'm human and I don't. But for the Lord gives wisdom, from His mouth came knowledge and understanding. He stores up sound wisdom for the upright, and He is a shield for those who walk in integrity, guarding the paths in justice and watching over the way of His saints. And His saints are, you know, the people that are called to do His work, the people that are obeying His proverbs, the people that are how do I say, obeying His 10 commandments and understanding really what He is all about, and implementing them into your life on a daily basis. That's what that is. And He will guard you. He guards you no matter what. There's a different level of guarding, you know. I know for me, I don't worry about like a whole lot. I know that the only time that I really need to worry is when I'm doing something bad, because I'm in fear of what He's going to do to me, or if He's going to protect me or not. And I've come across those situations where I didn't deserve to be protected, and some of the time it was from Him that those situations happen. And I can't say, oh, well, God put this in my life because He doesn't love me, or because of anything other than taking responsibility for what I did and say, oh my gosh, I know, like, God, please forgive me of my sins. For, you know, like, I know what I did was wrong, and I know that this is something that I need to work on. And I mean, that's just being real and upfront with Him, because all things come from Him. So with that being said, it's just the way that it is. And when you can do that, you're building a better relationship with yourself, well, with God. You're building a better relationship with God, and he's more willing to protect you. He's more willing to protect you in ways that you don't even think are possible, and he's more willing to provide for you in more ways that you even think is possible, because you're taking responsibility and you're saying, look, like, I know I messed up, and it's cleansing to the soul, it's cleansing to your heart, and overall it makes you a better person. So with that being said, I'm going to continue, and I don't really want to talk too much about saints. I don't think that, I'm just going to be quiet about that for right now. I don't want to talk about that right now. Then you will understand righteousness and justice and equity, every good path. For wisdom will come into your heart, and knowledge will be pleasant to your soul, right? Because when you become knowledge of God and his way of thinking, then, like, I don't want to say that I don't care if I disappoint anybody else, because I do. My thought on that is, it really saddens me when I disappoint God. It saddens me when I disappoint other people too. When I do something that is really not fair in God's eyes, I feel bad about it. I feel extra bad about it, I should say, because I feel bad when I do something wrong anyway. But I just feel extra bad about it. So, moving forward, then you will understand righteousness and justice. Oh, wait, I just read that. Okay, so let's see. For wisdom will come into your heart, and knowledge will be pleasant to your soul. Just being real with him and real with yourself, it helps with your thinking. Discretion will watch over you, understanding will guard you, delivering you from the way of evil, from men of perverted speech, who forsake the paths of uprightness to walk in the ways of darkness, who rejoice in doing evil and delight in the perseverance of evil men, whose paths are crooked, and who are devious in their own ways. And he will protect you from that. He'll protect you from your thinking, from that. And again, faith is the foundation of the earth, and it's having faith. It's just having faith that you don't have to, it's everywhere, like, how many people can you honestly say, first of all, know the 10 commandments? And secondly, how many people can you honestly say actually obeys them on a daily basis? For one, I don't know the answers to those questions. I'm just saying those are questions that should be asked. However, when you have full faith that he's the one who's going to take care of those things, and that's the way God takes care of it, that's the way he handles it, then he protects you in all ways. Rather, if you're in a situation like that, he inquires you to put headphones in your ears so you don't have to listen, or he takes you out of the situation by another person, or whatever the case may be, he will protect you. Who forsakes the companion of her youth and forgets the covenant of her God, for her house sinks down to death and her path to be departed. None who go to her come back, for do they regain the path of life. So you will walk in the way of the good and keep your path of the righteous. And that doesn't mean like be so religious that you don't know the true meaning of the word. Because you can be too religious, And I don't want, it's hard for me to talk about like stuff like this, because it's hard, because if I say something, my answer to everything is prayer. My answer to everything is prayer and having faith that God will take care of it. That's my answer to everything. And so if I have a thought of thinking a different way, then I feel like I'm judging, and I don't want to come off like I'm judging or being opinionated. And so therefore I haven't really quite figured out how I'm going to teach all of this stuff. However, so you can be too religious, and being too religious is not having faith. For the upright will inhabit the land, and those with integrity will remain in it. But the wicked will be cut off from the land, and the treacherous will be rooted out of it. So that's chapter 2 of Proverbs, and yeah, I mean, it's just about understanding. This one in Proverbs is just teaching about wisdom and understanding and knowledge, and what you have in your thinking and what you have in your heart could be completely, totally different things. But first and foremost, if you don't know what the 10 Commandments are, then it kind of, I don't even want to say that. See, I don't even want to say something like that because, I didn't know what the 10 Commandments are, and he changed my way of thinking. So I don't know exactly how to say or what I was about ready to say. So therefore, I'm not going to say anything except for, what you have in your heart is what you have in your mind, and what you have in your heart. If they don't match, then your intentions aren't good. That I can say, and be okay with it. So with that being said, this is Proverbs chapter 2. Thank you.